good afternoon, guys, and a very happy Wednesday. We are halfway through the week already. It is hump day. It is great to see you, as always. Hope everyone is having a good day so far and a good week. Hope we're all doing very well. We are going to talk a little bit about comics today, and we tried to kind of narrow it down to a top 5, and I've got to admit I found that a little bit difficult, so I do have some honorable mentions as well. But before I get into it and really start talking about it and about your favorites as well, let me say hi to everybody. So we have got Shieldward of Dragons, great to see you. We've got Lord Thuff, good morning, good to see you. Renziro, great to see you. He says, Purple, please recreate that skirt scene. I'll put it on the list. I'll put a pin in that, Renziro. We've got Salty Texas C. Good morning. Had a fantastic show with Salty and Zax and Max and Manamanefren last night. Had a lot of fun talking Lord of the Rings. So thank you for that, guys. Let's see, we've got Al Necron, hello sweetheart. We've got TZ Burton, great to see you. Jaden Hamilton, hey, good to see you. Keely Chow, roll tide Keely, good morning. Nearsighted Cyclops was first this morning, great to see you, good morning. We've got Dave Bob, hello Dave Bob. Squeaker Mouse, hello sweetheart, good morning. We've got Brandon the anime guy, great to see you as always, thank you. Polymes Minion, hello lovely, good morning. We've got Psychodwarf 9 as well, great to see you as always. Let's see, I'm not missing anybody. I hate to miss people. I did. Roger Ryder, great to see you, good morning. I think that's everybody. Just give me a poke if I've missed anybody, because I don't want to miss anybody. Archdemon, Archdemi Dragon, great to see you. And Izaj Melody, great to see you as well. So guys, as you can see, it's just me at the moment, so apologies for that, but fingers crossed we'll be joined by NB Geek very, very soon. But I thought what I would do is kind of get into it and give my favourites. Now, these aren't in any particular order. These are just ones that have had probably the most impact to me. These are the stories and books and comics and graphic novels that I go back to time and time again because I love the stories. I try to pick ones from pretty much all genres. I tried to give as wide a spread as I could, so it wasn't just superheroes or it wasn't just kind of horror or fantasy. So that took a little bit of narrowing down. But the one that I am going to start with, it's one that I talked about before when we talked about comics, and one that has probably a great affinity and something that I always love, especially because it is a very UK story, I would say. It is, of course, Alan Moore's V for Vendetta. Now, I love this story. I could have picked several of Alan Moore's stories. I love Watchmen. I really like some of his other work as well, but this one for me will always be my favourite. I loved it the first time I read it. It had a huge impact on me. I know it's a little bit dated now, especially with the story, because it was kind of a projection of what could possibly happen, and it was very much a story of its time when it was written. But the main theme of the story and the characters still ring true. The whole idea that if you give up your freedoms and if you allow the government to take control over everything, then it just descends into this horrific dystopian nightmare, which Alan Moore was warning us about, and so many others have as well. But there's just something about this story that I absolutely love. It's probably partly the character of V. I think he is a fantastic character. I love Evie as well. And it was one of those books that actually had a really fantastic film adaptation. I thought V for Vendetta, the movie, was pretty much on par with the story itself. Hugo Weaving was a fantastic hero slash anti-hero, whichever way you want to look at it. I've never been the biggest fan of Natalie Portman, but I thought she was brilliant in this, especially where she actually shaves her hair on screen. You can see her crying. I thought that was a really incredibly emotional scene. So I had a lot of respect for her for doing that. And it just really works as a film. It's one of those ones, same as the book, that I go back to time and time again to watch, and I always enjoy it. So that's my first pick for great stories. I've got so many. I'm going to have to put this on the floor. Excuse me, guys. There we go. Let's see what you guys have got to say. Speak for the Dead, great to see you. Hello, he says. V for Vendetta, the film was awesome. It really was, and it was one of those ones that really surprised me. I know they really wanted to get the film out for the 5th of November, but I think there was a problem. Sorry, guys, I had a hair in my mouth. There was a problem with filming, so it had to be pushed back, so they missed that date. But every time the 5th of November rolls around, as close as I can get to the day, I always watch that. It's great. Jaden Hamilton says, Purple Valkyrie, did you know that The Wheel of Time has a comic adaptation? Hi, guys. There we go. Has a comic adaptation for Eye of the World. I think that's the only one. I did, actually. If I remember correctly, it's Chuck Dixon, who I am a massive fan of. So I will check that one out. Thank you. Keely says V needs to be in the next Injustice video game. That would be cool. I could see that happening. And Renziro says, to be fair, ignoring her politics, Natalie Portman is a good actress. She is, yeah. I don't hate her as a person, but I think that Evie in this, she was one of her strongest roles. Sometimes she can come across a little bit bland, but I thought she was brilliant in this. Let's see what else you guys have got to say. TZ says, V for Vendetta is supposed to be fiction, not true life. Very true. Good morning, Andy Masterson. Great to see you. Hello there. Let's see. So Dave Bob says Bronze Age Marvel, some Bronze Age DC, and Watchmen. A fantastic choice. I know Dave Bob has a really extensive comic book collection, so that is awesome. Good morning to Low Spec Linux Laptop. Great to see you as always. Renziro says Alan Moore is a little bit weird, but hell of a writer, in my opinion. He is, yeah. He's one of those people that kind of, I think he's a little bit of a troll. He's eccentric for the sake of being eccentric, and I kind of really respect that. I've seen several interviews with him, and he always comes across as a very intelligent person, but very much walks to the beat of his own drum. But I'd love to meet him. I'd love to get to say hello and get his thoughts on some of these. Let me just check. We've got a membership milestone. So a massive thank you to Renziro, who has been with us for 2 months. Thank you, sweetheart. He says, woot! Another milestone reached. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And we've also got one from Salty Texas C, who has been with us for 3 months. Thank you, Salty. He says, thank you for all your hard work, wonderful content, and wicked humour and friendship. Well, thank you. Same to you as well. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this fellowship. P.S. The Rings of Power is, yeah. Oh, my God. Guys, if you haven't seen the show that we did last night, please check it out, because we were all hyped up for this new drop of the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. We thought it was going to be a trailer or an interview, or something that they were going to give the fans to really kind of hype them up, and it fell flat, and it was just so funny. So thank you for that. Max von Priestley, good morning. Another fantastic comic book. Someone who has a real in-depth knowledge as well. So great to see you. And yes, that was the hashtag that we had going yesterday. Anus of Poda. So that is what Amazon's Lord of the Rings is going to be known as from now on. Psychodwarf says, Purple Valkyrie, have you read the miniseries Jack of Hearts? I have not. I've heard of it though, and it's been recommended to me. So if you would recommend it, I'll definitely check it out. I love getting recommendations from people. And guys, as we're going through this, if you've got some ones that I haven't talked about, or something that you think I should check out, please let me know, because I love getting to read new things, and that's one of the things I'm really trying to do this year, is get back into reading. So we will see what you guys have, but let's jump on to the next one that I'm going to talk about. And this one I really debated with, because you guys know that I am a massive fan of Batman. So I was thinking, how on earth do I narrow it down to one story or one book? But what I went for is eventually The Long Halloween. Now, I absolutely love this story. I love the combination of Loeb and Sale. I think they work incredibly well together. Jeff Loeb is a very talented writer, and there is just something about Tim Sale's artwork that really leaps off the page. It's like no other artist that I've seen. I love the kind of rough, almost sketch work that he does with his characters. Very exaggerated features that he gives them, especially characters like Two-Face and the Joker. He really kind of warps them, and there's something really appealing about that, at least to me. So this is one of those stories that I love. It's quite a substantial story. I do have the individual comic books as well, but I always like to have the collected edition just because it's easier to pull off the shelf. I know some people will say, graphic novels or comic books over graphic novels, but I like having both. I like having long boxes full of individual issues, but I also like to have the collected editions as well, because I think they look great up on the shelf. But this story is just one of those that really appealed to me. I love the story. I love the introduction of the character Calendar Man. It's got all of my favourite villains in it. It's got Scarecrow, it's got Riddler, we have Poison Ivy, Joker. It's got all of these fantastic characters, and it's actually a really well written story because it takes place over the course of a year, and Batman, as he's trying to figure out who is doing these killings, he's getting more and more frustrated. So this is the side of the Batman that we don't see a lot anymore. It's the detective side where he has to figure out who is doing this, and he's getting more and more frustrated because he can't figure it out. And it's just a fantastic story. There was a animated special that came out that was pretty good. I enjoyed it, or at least the first half. The first part I enjoyed. I thought the second half was a lot weaker, but I would still recommend it. It's one of the better newer DC animated features that they brought out. So it was pretty good. And apologies if you can hear snoring. That's my dog. He's asleep on the sofa. Let's see who else has joined. We've got Copper Malik. Great to see you. Says, hello, Purple Valkyrie, and hello, the chat. Good to see you as well. Psychodwarf has a recommendation for us. He says, Purple Valkyrie, for hard sci-fi, try Hammer Summers, The Sharp End, also Elizabeth Moon's That's a War. I will add those to my list. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kenny Long, great to see you. Good morning. It says, good morning, Purple Valkyrie. Sending glad tidings across the pond. I'm in Las Vegas for the NFL draft. Love your channel. Have a fantastic time. Oh, that is so cool. I've got my fingers crossed that I will be in Vegas as well this year. So really looking forward to it. Maximum Priesty says, oh, Papa snores. Yep. Do you want to see him, guys? I can turn the camera if you like to see him. Let's have a look. There he is. So he is asleep on the sofa, as he usually does. So I haven't got one of those special dog cams, but I can show you what he looks like. Let's see who else we've got. We've got Ian So Forth. Good afternoon, great to see you. And we've got Mr. Tickle Trunk, and we've got Manowar 665, Neighbour of the Beast. Hello, guys, great to see you. Keely says, so cute. Thank you, Keely. Thank you so much. It is good to see everybody. So let me get on to my third pick. Oh, I can't even pick it up. There we go. Got it. Now, this, if you guys know me, shouldn't really come as any surprise. I've talked about this comic, I've talked about this film, and how much of an impact it's had on me and how much I love this character. It is, of course, The Crow. Now, this is the collected edition. This is just Eric Draven's story. I do have some of the other crows as well. And the one thing with The Crow, because it's almost like it's a persona rather than a character. They have different crows for different stories. So we have male and female crows, and some of them are better than others, but all of them I would recommend. But this is the original. Big fan of James O'Barr. He's a great guy. I was actually lucky enough to meet him last year, and I got this signed. I don't know whether you can see it. There we go. So he did actually sign it for me. Really interesting guy. Got to talk to him about the creation of the character and where he got inspiration from, and I picked up one of his prints as well. Really down to earth, really nice guy, and it was great to get to just talk to him, to say to and to tell him how much I love his work and how much this character had an impact on me. So that was great as well. But this, very similar to V for Vendetta. It's just one of those that translated incredibly well into a film. Now we've had sequels, and we had the TV show, which weren't as good, and we've now got news that there is going to be a reboot with Bill Skarsgård playing Draven as well. But the original with Brandon Lee will always be up there. It is in my top 5 favourite films of all time. I can watch this over and over and over again and never get tired of watching it. A fantastic cast, very tragic that we lost Brandon Lee when we did, but I think it just makes that film even more special that he went out on such a high with this character. Al Necron says, Crow is an excellent choice. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think so. I think a lot of people seem to like that. Copy Malik says, the Crow story revolves around the Crow character played by Brandon Lee, right, Purple? That is correct. Yep, that is this story in this first book, this collected. So the original Crow was Eric Draven. We had subsequent other characters that took on the Crow moniker as the character became more popular, but this is the original and the best for me. Monkey Jeebus, great to see you. Good morning. He says, O'Barr did the Crow after his girlfriend died. Yes, he did. It was a sort of, I suppose it was cathartic. It was a way to get his sadness out, and he created this character. And it really is a very tragic story. Maximum Priesty says, great choice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Salty says, Purple's Pug and Gideon, the perfect buddy cop movie. Eddie actually likes cats, so that would work pretty well, to be honest. And apologies if he's getting really loud. So let me know, guys, if it's picking up on the audio. I'll tell him to shh. Renziro says, Death, the High Cost of Living by Gaiman was another fantastic story. Love Neil Gaiman. I did have Sandman on my list as well. Fantastic story. Absolutely love some of Neil Gaiman's work. He says, read it many times and the end still gets me. Absolutely. Saj Melody says, the thing about comic book cities is the Metropolis seems like a place you wouldn't want to visit. Detroit, not so much. Yes, I've heard that about Gotham as well. Whenever people talk about Gotham, they say it's one of the places in comic books that you just would not want to go. Why on earth would people want to live in a place that's besieged by comic book villains so often? Um, And a big thank you to Salty Texas C. He sends us a 199 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, Chuck Dixon's The Hobbit and Wheel of Time on fire. Absolutely. Fantastic stories. And I know you picked up The Hobbit recently and said how good it was. I've actually got it in my basket on eBay, so I'm going to pick up a copy as well. But I am a huge fan of Chuck Dixon. Absolutely love his work. I think one of my honorable mentions down below is one of his one of my favorite Batman arcs that he did was No Man's Land and Contagion. Absolutely love those stories. But he's also done work on Nightmare on Elm Street, which I loved. He's so broad with his writing. He just seems to be a fantastic guy as well. So absolutely great choice. Let me say hi to, oops, it skips on me, my apologies. Coffee on Korriban, hello honey. Good morning and great to see you. Hope you're doing well today. You're doing incredibly well with your channel, really proud of you. Mr. Tickletrunk says, James O'Barr is a very sad man. Glad he had an outlet for it. Me too. Yeah, it seemed to be a way to channel his sadness, as you say, and it was a very tragic loss that he suffered. But getting to talk to him, he kind of, although he's still, very sad about what happened, it still remains with him. He can now talk about the characters and the influence, and I think it's cathartic for him. So he was really nice to get to talk to. So let me pop that one down here so I don't drop it. There we go. Let's see, we've got some more people. We've got the Dork Knight. Good morning, great to see you. We've got Lyle Hammock. Good morning. All my best to the family. I hope you're doing well. And we've got Decepticons Cave of Villains. Great to see you guys. Hope you're doing well today. Pops, good morning. Hello there. He says, so many good recommendations here. Chuck Dixon would be my first hire if I was if in charge of DC right now. Absolutely. To Chuck, what do you need to fix the Batman titles? Then call Grant Morrison. Two fantastic choices. Absolutely. Two guys that really have passion for what they do. I think either Chuck Dixon or Grant Morrison would be excellent to oversee the comic book division of DC. That would be perfect. So great choice. And good morning, Hops. Good to see you. We have got a super sticker from Mexican Iron Man. Good morning, Poppy. Hope you're doing well today. Let me quickly check. It is a pair and it says #1 fan. Thank you so much. It is great to see you. I know you've been working incredibly hard recently, so thank you so much. Good morning to you. Let's see, have we got anybody else? Pop says the Batman set up a No Man's Land story for sure. That's what I thought as well. That's kind of where I thought it was going. We kind of saw it with the Nolan trilogy as well. It was sort of hinted at where they kind of block off the city and with Bane, but if we could do that with Reeves's Batman, I think that would be awesome. Really love the whole idea of Gotham basically being turned into this kind of walled-in city and people can't leave because they've taken out the bridges. It's just a great story, so absolutely thank you for that. Let me check my DMs, guys. Let's see what we've got. You guys have been busy today. So we have got another membership milestone. Thank you. And thank you, Brandon, for keeping on top of this. This one is from Mr. Tsekotron. He has been with us for 8 months. Thank you, sweetheart. It says, what's this button do? Ah, that's what it does. when in doubt, always press the button, Mr. Trunk, definitely. So thank you for that. Oh, so good to see you. And speaking of seeing you, X11 Bravo Comics, good morning. Hope you're having a good one today. Jaden Hamilton asks, which Batman comic? Killing Joke, Hush, or Death in the Family? I would say all three are fantastic. I did actually consider, instead of having The Long Halloween, I was going to have The Killing Joke, but I thought perhaps that's a little bit too obvious, perhaps. But all three are fantastic stories. I am actually quite a big fan of Hush. I thought it was a very clever story. I liked what they did with the characters, and the artwork is fantastic. And Death in the Family is also definitely worth a read as well. So great picks, absolutely. So I would say yes to all of them, all of the above. But if I was going to pick one to read first, I would probably say go with The Killing Joke. It is a classic, and it's part of a lot of people's list for a very good reason. Let me say good morning and a huge thank you to a new member. We've got Lady Toriel. Thank you, sweetheart. It is so good to see you. Absolutely love to get to see Lady Toriel, especially on Twitter. She's just incredibly positive. I love the beautiful art that she puts up, and she always says good morning to people. So it's like a little ray of sunshine every time I turn Twitter on. So thank you and welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate that. We have also got Brahma Bully says good morning all. Good morning to you too. And always push the button. Wise words indeed. Let's see what else we can pull up. Now, you guys, if you've been around for any length of time, you know that I absolutely adore the character of Dr. Doom. This is no secret. And I actually had a hard time narrowing down which story I was going to pick for him. But what I went with eventually was the one that I've always loved. Now, this is really battered because I've read it quite a bit, but it is Triumphant Torment. This is a standalone story. Absolutely love this story. Love Mike Mignola's work. Really like him with his Hellboy work as well. But there's something about this particular story that really resonated with me. I've had this for quite a while, which is why it's so beaten up and battered, but it is such a good story. If you haven't read it, basically, Dr. Doom is trying to rescue his mother, her soul from Mephisto, and the only way he can do this is by kind of swallowing his pride and reaching out to Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, and they form this very uneasy alliance in order to accomplish this goal. There's a lot of friction between these two characters. There's a lot of ego going on, and it is a great story. As I said, it's a standalone story, very quick read, but one, if you are a fan of Doctor Doom, or if you want a really good kind of example of what his personality is like, I would highly recommend this one. If you can find it. It's a little bit harder to find. Now, you could probably find it online if you wanted a digital version, but if you want either the paperback version or the hardback version, which I'm trying to track down, it's a little bit harder because the prices have gone up. Renziro says, yep, was going to say Triumphant Torment, great pick. Thank you. See, great minds do think alike. Thank you so much. And Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, yes, I would really love to see them if they did the characters well and they introduced Doom into the MCU and do it respectfully. I would love to see him go up a bit against Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. I think we could have a really great dynamic, but it all hinges on how they introduce the character and who they get to play him. That's another big one. Renziro, Books of Doom. I actually considered Books of Doom. I have that on the shelf as well. I was surprised for a newer retelling of Doctor Doom's origin. I was surprised how good it actually is. Yeah, so that is definitely on my recommendation list as well. Good call. I do have a couple more Doom-related stories in my pick as well, so we'll get to that soon. And Psycho Dwarf, yes, you've actually guessed what one of my honourable mentions is. He says, Purple Valkyrie, it's got to be the one where Doom and Stark can get thrown back in time and then accomplish the Industrial Revolution to get back. Wow, funny you should mention it, because, yes, there we go. Doom Quest. Absolutely. Another one. As you quite rightly said, it is a fantastic story. To see again these two characters kind of having to work together and form this very uneasy alliance in order to basically save themselves is a great story. There is a second kind of like a follow-up story as well, which I also have on the shelf. But Doom Quest, I think, is the better story. So I really recommend this one. Good pick, Psycho Dwarf. Well done. Jaden says, ever read the DC Vertigo Lucifer comic? I have not, even though I really do like Vertigo. I think they put out some fantastic stories. I've heard of it. I did watch the TV show, at least a few of the seasons, and I actually really enjoyed it, but I haven't read it. It's very similar, like I enjoyed Preacher, but I've only read a few of the Preacher stories as well, and same with Constantine, you know, those sort of characters. I really need to kind of fill in the gaps of my knowledge with these characters. And Lyle Hammock says Vertigo has some excellent titles. They really do. They absolutely do. Vertigo, Image do some fantastic stories as well. McFarlane is still going strong with Spawn. I think he's one of the few big creators that's really weathered the storm of comics as well. So there is some great stuff still out there. I know we kind of rail against Marvel and DC because they've gone woke and quite progressive at the moment, but all they need is some fantastic writers that love the characters, and they can turn this around quite quickly. Fans will come back if you give them what they want, and we've seen this time and time again with independent creators. You give the fans this amazing product, and they will support it, because at the heart, you know, we love comic books. We love to read about these characters. I don't want to see, you know, terrible stories with Superman or Batman or Spider-Man. I want fantastic stories. I want the stories like the ones that we're talking about today that really strike a chord and move people. Kuffer Malik says Neil Gaiman Sandman. Yes, absolutely. That was on my honourable mentions list as well. Eddie, shush. I absolutely love it. No, I'm not a massive fan of Neil himself, but I will not deny that he is a fantastic writer. The imagination that he has, especially with the characters that he creates, and I think Sandman is probably at the absolute pinnacle of his storytelling expertise. And Coffee on Coroban says, I still don't know how you solo stream so well. Well, thank you. I don't know if I do, but I really appreciate that. And to be fair, it's been a little while since we got to just chat one-on-one with each other. So it is great to see everybody. I hope people are having fun so far. We've got Mobile Recluse. Good afternoon. Great to see you. It says Brian K. Vaughan's Pride of Baghdad. Haven't read that, but I have heard good things about it. So that is on my list as well. Absolutely. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Let me scroll back up. Monkey Jeeba says they tried to make Norman Osborn on the same level as Doom. Absolutely. Yes. Let's see if we've got anything else. Renziro says, Darkseid by the man who was the greatest name in comics, Randy Queen. That is an awesome name. I agree. Philip A. Demick, great to see you. He says, favourite graphic novels? God Loves, Man Kills, Star Slammers, Dark Knight Returns, ElfQuest, and Death of Captain Marvel. Those are some fantastic choices. A couple of those I would add to my list as well. Definitely Dark Knight Returns, ElfQuest, fantastic story. Those are some fantastic picks, thank you. Copper Malik says, I want to see how they portray the Seven Endless in the live action series on Netflix. Yeah. No, I'm hopeful that they do these characters justice, but from what I've seen, especially with the casting, I was very, very skeptical, particularly with the character of what they did with Death. Death in the Sandman comics has a very iconic look. And even if you don't know where she's from, you probably recognize her with the white face, the big black hair, and the punk look with the ankh around the eye. I hope they do it justice. No, Neil Gaiman is on board with this, and I don't think he would allow them to really make very drastic changes to his work. But we will see. And of course, it is Netflix, and they don't have the greatest track record at the moment of adapting things, whether it be comics or anime or manga or whatever it is that they decide that they're going to create a live action version of. Let's see what else you've got to say. Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley's We Three. Oh, I love We Three. Oh, that one hit the feels. That one's up on the shelf as well. I like how the narration is done through sequential art with very little text. It really is. It's not an easy read, We Three, but again, it's one of those ones very similar to Mouse and anything like that really has this kind of strong emotional kind of gut punch to people. I always say, check it out, give it a read, and We Three is a excellent example of that. So thank you. Let's see who else we've got. We've got Pop Culture Republic. Great to see you. Says hello all. Hello to you. Good morning. Renziro says Death's look is based on a real person who passed away. The way they disrespected that is enough for me to not watch the show, to be honest. It is, yeah, she was based on a real person. I can't remember that off the top of my head what her name was, but I know she basically was the spitting image and the very obvious origin of the style for Death in the comics. Let's see what else we've got. Salty Texas Sea, thank you again. Sandman, we got pronouns, diversity, story. Gotta tick them boxes, what can I say? Jaden asks, and thank you, Salty, really appreciate that. Jaden says, Purple Valkyrie, ever read any comics that were adapted from or inspired by books? Actually, yes, I did. If I can grab one of my honourable mentions. So you guys know that I am a massive fan of Terry Pratchett, and one of my favourite books of his is actually Guards Guards. And they did a really fantastic graphic novel adaptation from it. It's great work. It's illustrated by Graham Higgins. It was adapted by Stephen Briggs, who was the guy that did all of the plays from the Discworld books. So it is really good, and some of the artwork, it just kind of, I can open it just kind of pops off the page. If you haven't read any Discworld and you don't want to kind of read the books but want a really good kind of example of Terry's humour, I would highly recommend this graphic novel. There's about half a dozen of his books that have been adapted into comics and graphic novels, but for me this one is the best, so I would highly recommend. So thank you, great question. Somebody says, no way, Pratchett graphic novels, absolutely. What I'll do is I'll take a picture of once the stream's ended, and I'll show you guys the other ones that they do. Like I said, there's about half a dozen, and they're all good, but for me, this one, Guards, is the best. One, it's one of my favourite books of his, and two, it just worked and lent itself really well to being adapted into a graphic novel. Psychodorf says, Purple Valkyrie, how about seriously old school Edgar Rice Burroughs, the Princess of Mars series? I actually really did like Edgar Rice Burroughs. I remember when Disney tried to adapt it and make it into the film, and it was a massive failure, which I thought was a huge shame because I thought it was a great film. But yeah, absolutely, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Princess of Mars, check it out. I haven't read the comics, if there are comics, if that's what you mean, but I will have a look for it. Can't go, you can't go wrong with old school sci-fi. So thank you, absolutely. Let's see, we've got Asdaja, great to see you, says struggling to stay awake after today. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Tickle Drawing says Terry Pratchett is the guy who invented window shins. Yes. And Gun Bunny says, I loved Pratchett's Going Postal. I did too. Both the book and the live action that they did. That was really good. I was surprised at how well they did that. But then that was back when Terry was still with us, and he was very much somebody who was very on board, and he wouldn't let them do anything with his characters that he didn't approve of. Quite similar to J.K. Rowling when they were doing the Harry Potter films, which I think is great. If you create these characters, the last thing that you want them to be is disrespected or kind of changed in any way. So keep a hold of your original characters, guys. Let's see what else we've got. So one that I've buried underneath my honourable mentions, which I will pull out. There we go. So this one is one that people might not be familiar with. I have talked about it in the past and kind of put it up as one of those ones. It was like a kind of hidden gem, I think. But it is Beast of Burden. I'm not sure if you can see that because of the glare. That's a little bit better. There we go. So this is one of those stories that I came across at a convention. It was just sitting there on one of the tables. Wasn't familiar with it, but it just kind of caught my eye, and I am so glad that it did. I absolutely love this story. Basically what it is, it's a group of pets, and they kind of band together because they realise that there's some really weird supernatural goings on in their neighbourhood. The humans are completely oblivious to it, so it's up to these pets to kind of, it's almost like a Scooby-Doo sort of scenario where they have to investigate, and there's witches and werewolves and ghosts and all these weird things that they have to contend with, and they're just pets. There's no superheroes, there's no superpowers with them, but it's a great mix of characters. We've got the husky character who is the main protagonist. There's a cat that joins them as well, who they're a little bit suspicious of, but he really kind of wins them over. And there's a pug as well, which completely had me sold because you know how much I love pugs. This one, there is a sequel to as well, which I did enjoy. Some of these stories, they're kind of standalone, so some of them are funny, some of them are sad, some of them are quite scary. But it is a great book if you can find it. And it's quite cheap if you can pick it up on eBay. You can probably pick it up for less than $10. One that I would highly, highly recommend. And a few years ago, they were talking about adapting it into an animated series, which I thought would have been fantastic, but it looks like it's kind of either fallen by the wayside or it's in kind of production hell at the moment. So if it ever does come about, I would be very excited to see it. But for the time being, we have some fantastic stories in this. So Beast of Burden, if you have not read it or haven't heard of it, highly recommend. As the Zar said, there should be a Shih Tzu. I would relate if it was either a little Napoleon wannabe or greedy and babyish. That's kind of like the pug character. He's not kind of greedy, but he's quite lazy. So yeah, they kind of nailed that, definitely. And hello to Billy Duncan. Good to see you. He says, hello, chat. Mods and our awesome host. Hello to you, Billy. Good morning. Let's see what else we've got. Pops makes a fantastic recommendation as well, and one that I would absolutely agree with. He says, maybe you mentioned it, but I really love Fables. Fables is such a good story. Yes, if you guys like the traditional kind of Brothers Grimm fairy stories, but kind of turned on their head, I would highly recommend Fables. Both the books, and there was a video game as well by Telltale Games that really captured the spirit of the books really well. So fantastic, definitely a great pick. X11 Bravo Comics says, does anyone else find it interesting that we never see Purple and MV penis at the same time, like Bruce and Batman and Clark and Superman? I can neither confirm nor deny. X11 Bravo Comics. Let's see what else you guys are saying. And hello to Sil Abdul. Great to see you. Good morning. Really looking forward to the show tomorrow. It's going to be a hot one. It's going to be good. We've got so much to cover tomorrow. Let's see. Pop Culture Republic says, just stay away from that horrible Hulu show, one of Pratchett's books. It was so bad, I've forgotten the name of it. Yep, that was The Watch. Yeah, it did have elements of Guards that they tried to kind of incorporate, but it was so terrible. I keep meaning to do a kind of in-depth review of this show, but every time I do, my blood pressure spikes and I have to go lie down or do something else. So eventually I will do a video on The Watch and kind of get it out of my system. I think it'll be cathartic. But you are absolutely right. It was a terrible show and was rightly panned because of it. Biddy Duncan says, avoid Twitter. Twitter's actually a much nicer place, funnily enough, now that Elon's taken over. Everyone seems to be in a much better mood. People are chatting back and forth in tweets and things, and people are getting unblocked. They're getting their accounts back, and it's like a ray of sunshine has come through. So if you're not on Twitter, it's worth jumping on at the time. Let me say good morning and a huge thank you to the man himself, Paulie from Latino Slant. Great to see you. He says, join Purple on the Slant today at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Northman versus Hamlet. Wow, love you, lady. Love you too. Absolutely, guys. If you want to see a fantastic show that I am so looking forward to doing today, I am lucky enough to be joining Latino Slants a little bit later on today, and we're going to have a fantastic discussion and really kind of get into the Northmen and the parallels with Hamlet, and really kind of talk about the characters. I think it's going to be a fantastic discussion, so really looking forward to it. And thank you, Paulie. It is great to see you as always. Thank you so much. Let's see what else we've got. I've got a couple more to pull up. Claude Parrish says, just here to balance the colours on my monitor. Yeah, there's a lot of colours going on. People think it's weird that I painted the room orange, but I like orange. It makes me smile, and it's a warm colour. If I'd gone blue, I'd look very washed out. So I need something to give me a little bit of colour. So orange it was. But I hope you're doing well. Let me put this back down and grab my other honourable mentions. I think I've gone through all of the main ones, so I will grab a couple of others before we wrap up today. Now, guys, you know how much we are loving the Northmen at the moment. You know how much we like North mythology, myself included, obviously, as your Valkyrie. But one that I would highly recommend, and this is a quite thick book, it is The Northlanders by Brian Wood. So this is a fantastic story. If you like historical epics, if you like Vikings, but told without the kind of glaze over them, so with their brutality and as they probably were, raiding and taking over villages and doing what Vikings did back in the day. This is a great story. It's quite gory. There's a lot of violence in it, but it balances out really well with the characters. We follow, very similar to the Northmen, a young fella who gets taken. He becomes a berserker, and it's his kind of journey to redeem himself for what he's done in his past. Really recommend it. I think it's a standalone, if I remember correctly. I don't think that there's a sequel, but I could be wrong. I've only ever read this one, and it's by Brian Wood. So check that out if you are into Vikings and Norse mythology. Love that cover. It is a great cover. It really is. Let me turn it around and you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, great cover. And another one of those that kind of by Vertigo. Yeah, it says volume 1, so there must be more volumes. I just haven't picked them up. The Anglo-Saxon saga. So yeah, definitely check that out, guys, if you can. Oops, it skipped on me. Let me get this one. We've got Daniel with us today. Good morning, Daniel. Great to see you. It says, stuck in a Twitter style corporation meeting that's draining my soul, but I must support my girl Purple. Thanks for the Northlanders suggestion. Well, thank you for joining us. It is so good to see you, all of you guys today. Thank you. I'm just blown away anytime that you guys want to spend a little bit of time just listening to me ramble on. So thank you. And thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Much appreciated. Let's see what else we've got. We've got Deepa Martin. Hello, sweetheart. Hope you're feeling a little bit better. So good to see you in chat. And I know you said you've been listening, so keep resting, and we hope to see you right as rain and back as soon as possible. So sending you our love. Thank you. Great to see you as always. As the show says, we're all drained today. It's been a weird week. It's only Saturday. It's only Wednesday, but it feels like a Saturday. So take that as you will. It's been a weird one. And Lord Doff says, we love you, Purple. Well, I love you too. I do love you guys. It is so good to see you. You're rambling fine, Purple. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Well, let me pop this on the floor and grab a couple more, because I think this is actually the last one that I was going to pick up. And I was looking at the list and the pile that I picked, and I realised we need some Marvel representations. So I was going back and forth. I was thinking, which story really had an effect on me? Which one was it that I enjoyed reading and kind of go back to? So I picked Secret Wars, of course. Great story. If anyone's read this, you know what a good story this is. It is you couldn't ask for a better group of characters to put this in, and It's fantastic. We've got all of your heroes. We've got Dr. Doom in as well, who manages to do what Doom does and take over, at least for a short while. But it's just really well written, and we do get the introduction of the Black Spider suit costume, which people really love. I remember this also from the Spider-Man animated series. It was one of the stories that they kind of adapted into the cartoon, and they did surprisingly well with it. I would have liked to have seen the MCU kind of give a take on it, perhaps. I think it could have been done, and if they had really kind of put their mind to it, but they went with the Thanos story instead. But I really love Secret Wars. I think it is a great story, and it's got a little bit of everything for people who really love their classic superheroes. Let's see. D-Bud Martin. Oh, it skipped on me. Let me scroll back up and grab that. Thank you. He says, hello again, Purple. Did anyone say Emperor Doom? Indeed. I actually have Emperor Doom, the figure. Where is he? Oh, he's down here. I've got that version of him, which is pretty cool. Love that figure. But you already knew that, didn't you? But thank you so much, D-Bud Martin. It is really good to see you, and I'm glad you're feeling better. So thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Let's see what else you guys. Renziro said I would have gone with the Infinity Gauntlet. It was a toss-up between the two. I went with Secret Wars because for me it just had a little bit more of an impact. It was just one of those stories. It was one of the first Marvel stories that I read, and then I realized that, hey, I know this story. I saw it in the cartoon ages back, and that's what kind of cemented it for me. But absolutely agree, Infinity Gauntlet is a fantastic story also. So good choices. He also says the film was good, but the comic is so much better. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Lord Duff says, wow, a great story. I miss the 80s. Me too. The 80s was a good decade. Let's see what else you guys have got to say. Salties, thank you again. He says, just like Led Zeppelin, ramble on, sing your song. Thank you. Thank you, Salty. Really appreciate that. Let's see what else we've got. We've got Lyle Hammock. Thank you so much. Great to see you. It says, just a little something for this excellent stream, entertaining me as I head to work. Hail to you, and thank you for your kindness you've shown me. Well, thank you, Lyle. It is so good to see you on Tuesdays. It's absolutely fantastic to see you in the chat today, and sending you and the family my love. So thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Hope everybody has a great day. Let's see. We've got Claude Parish. Great to see you. Good morning. We've got Moons of Madness. He says, darn it, I want my 80s back. I don't mind taking some of the 80s back, I've got to admit. Some of it they can keep. The fashion wasn't particularly great, but films, music, comics, just that people seem to be nicer to each other back in the 80s. I'll take all of that, absolutely. Oh my gosh, let me make sure I haven't missed anybody with your chats and your membership chats. I think we've got everybody. Thank you. Renziro says that no, you don't want all of the 80s back, trust me. Jaden Hamilton says, all of you talking about the 80s makes me feel like a baby. Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. So, guys, Let me say a huge thank you to everybody who joined today. I hope you had fun. I hope this was a good stream. It was so good to just kind of sit down and chat with you guys and just geek out about some of my absolute favourite stories. I probably could have done a top 20 list or even a top 30 list. So technically I cheated by having a top 5 and then extra, honourable mentions, but I'm sure you guys don't mind. We'll let that slip. Let me say a huge thank you to everybody who sent super chats, who sent super stickers, who sent member chats. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. As Mr. Tuckertrunk says, absolutely, I will be joining Latino Slants a little bit later on today. Really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. I will be joining Sil Abdul tomorrow on the Purple Edition. We're going to be talking DC, and we're just going to be burning it down over there. We've got the new Moon Knight episode that has dropped today that I'll be doing a review on, and then we'll be back on Friday as well. So lots more content to come, guys. Having a fantastic time at the moment, just getting to spend time with you. So thank you, everybody, seriously. Let me say just a quick good morning and welcome. We've got science fiction audiobooks with Brightest Day. Great to see you as well. Good morning. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. I don't think I did, but you guys are awesome. So if I did, I do apologize. Renziro says, is there anything left of DC to burn down? Probably not, but fingers crossed that they can rise from the ashes, something better, something stronger. And if they can, give us back these amazing characters, especially with the comic books, I'd be willing to forgive them. So let's fingers crossed that happens. So guys, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Have a wonderful week. No doubt we will see each other very, very soon. So guys, let me pull that up. There we go. Take care of each other, and we'll see you soon.